Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into a sensitive topic, the signs that a married woman might be interested in you. Remember, this is for educational purposes only. Now let's be clear, this isn't about stirring up trouble or encouraging anyone to cross lines that shouldn't be crossed. Marriage is a serious commitment, and we're not here to play games with people's lives or relationships. But the reality is sometimes signals get mixed, intentions can be unclear, and you might find yourself in a confusing situation wondering what exactly is going on. Ignoring these things doesn't make them go away, it just means you're flying blind. The purpose here is to arm you with information, to help you understand some common behaviors that indicate interest, so you can navigate these tricky waters with a bit more awareness and, frankly, a bit more common sense. We're not saying every friendly gesture from a married woman means she's secretly plotting to leave her husband for you. That's just plain ridiculous. But there are patterns, there are nuances, and if you're seeing a combination of these signs, well, you might need to wake up and pay attention to what's really happening, not just what used to be happening or what seems innocent on the surface. So, we're going to break down some of these potential indicators one by one. I want you to listen carefully, think critically, and most importantly, be honest with yourself about what you're observing and how you're interpreting it. This is about education, about understanding human behavior, and about making sure you're equipped to handle complex interpersonal dynamics responsibly. It's not about pointing fingers or making assumptions, but about gaining clarity in situations that can often be murky and emotionally charged. Let's get to it. Alright, let's talk about eye contact. Now, simple eye contact is normal, right? It's how we communicate, how we show we're engaged. But when that eye contact starts to stretch out, when it becomes prolonged, when she holds your gaze just a little bit too long, a little too often, that's when you gotta start asking yourself, what's the message here? It's not just a glance. It's a stare that feels different. It might be accompanied by a slight smile, or a look that seems to be searching for something in your eyes. This isn't your everyday, oh hi there look. This is the kind of eye contact that can make the air feel a little thicker, maybe even a little uncomfortable, if you're not prepared for it. You see, prolonged eye contact can be a powerful nonverbal cue. It can signal attraction, interest, or an attempt to create a deeper connection. Think about it. When you're genuinely interested in what someone is saying, or frankly in the person themselves, you tend to look at them more intently. If she's consistently singling you out with these extended gazes in a room full of people, or if she makes a point to catch your eye and hold it, it's not usually by accident. It's a deliberate act, whether she's fully conscious of all its implications or not. This isn't about a fleeting moment, it's about a pattern of behavior that stands out from her normal interactions with others. Now, some folks are just more intense communicators, and their natural style might involve more direct eye contact. So, you gotta have a baseline. How does she look at other people, her colleagues, other friends, even her own husband if you've seen them interact? If her eye contact with you is consistently different, more sustained, more, let's say, charged, then that's a data point. It's not proof of anything on its own, but it's a piece of the puzzle. Is she trying to tell you something without saying a word? Is she inviting you to look deeper, to see something she's not overtly expressing? These are the questions that prolonged eye contact should prompt. Consider the context too. Is this happening in professional settings where it might be misinterpreted or create awkwardness? Or is it in more casual social environments? The meaning can shift. If she's holding your gaze across a boardroom table, while her husband is 2 seats down, that's a whole different ballgame than if it's happening at a relaxed social gathering. But regardless of the setting, if it's making you notice it, if it feels like more than just polite attention, then it's worth noting. Don't just brush it off as she's just friendly. Friendliness has a certain look, prolonged, intense eye contact often has another. And finally, what's your gut telling you? When she looks at you that way, does it feel like an invitation, a question, or something else entirely? Our instincts are often pretty good at picking up on these subtle social cues, even if our brains try to rationalize them away. If that extended eye contact is making your internal alarm bells go off, or even just making you pause and wonder, then don't ignore that. It's your subconscious telling you that something is different here. Pay attention to that feeling, because it's often the first indicator that the dynamic isn't strictly platonic or professional. Next up, let's talk about physical touch. This is a big one, folks, because physical touch is a very primal way we connect with others. Now, I'm not talking about a formal handshake or an accidental bump in a crowded hallway. I'm talking about those little touches that seem to linger, or happen a bit too often, or in ways that aren't typical for casual acquaintances or professional colleagues. She might find reasons to touch your arm when she's talking to you, or brush against you when there's plenty of space. Or maybe her hand rests on your shoulder for a moment longer than necessary. These aren't grand, sweeping, romantic gestures. They're subtle, but they can speak volumes. You've got to ask yourself, is this her normal mode of operation with everyone? Or is it specific to you? Some people are naturally more tactile, more touchy-feely. They hug everyone, they pat everyone on the back. But if you notice she's touching you more frequently, or in a different way than she touches others, that's a flag. If she's generally reserved with physical contact but seems to find excuses to make contact with you, a light touch on the hand when laughing at your joke, adjusting your tie, or accidentally brushing her leg against yours, then it's time to consider the possibility that it's not so accidental after all. The nature of the touch matters too. A quick, professional pat on the back is one thing. A soft, lingering touch on the forearm, or a hand that brushes yours and stays there for a beat, is something else entirely. These types of touches can be used to build intimacy and test boundaries. Is she trying to see how you react? Is she trying to create a sense of closeness or familiarity that goes beyond the norm? These are not just random physical interactions, they can be calculated, even if subconsciously, to gauge your interest or to communicate her own. Think about the context of these touches. Are they happening in public, or more often when you're alone or in a more private setting? Does she seem self-conscious about it, or is it natural and fluid? If the touches are accompanied by that prolonged eye contact we just talked about, or a particularly warm smile, the message becomes even stronger. It's about the pattern. One isolated incident might mean nothing, but a series of these accidental or friendly touches can start to paint a picture of something more. It's a way of saying, I feel comfortable with you, I'm drawn to you, without having to utter a single word about it. And let's be real here, when someone is attracted to another person, there's often an unconscious urge to be physically closer, to make contact. It's human nature. So, if a married woman is consistently finding reasons to break that physical barrier with you, it's a significant sign that her interest might be more than just friendly. Don't be naive and just assume she's clumsy or just being nice. While that's possible, if it's part of a larger pattern of behavior, you need to consider the alternative. That these touches are intentional, a subtle exploration of a potential connection that, given her marital status, is already in complicated territory. Alright, let's move on to another critical indicator. She starts sharing personal details about her marriage, particularly the negative ones. Now, it's one thing for a friend to vent a little about a minor disagreement with their spouse. That's normal. But when a married woman starts confiding in specifically about deep-seated problems in her marriage, her unhappiness, her loneliness, or the things her husband isn't doing or providing, you have to ask yourself, why me? Why are you the chosen confidant for such intimate and sensitive information? This isn't just casual conversation, this is a deliberate act of vulnerability. When she tells you about the lack of intimacy in her marriage, or how she feels unheard or unappreciated by her husband, she's not just making small talk. She's potentially creating an emotional bond with you, positioning you as someone who understands her, someone who in a way her partner supposedly doesn't. This can be a way of signaling that there's a void in her life, and perhaps, just perhaps, she's wondering if you could fill it, even if only emotionally at first. It's a subtle way of saying, I'm not happy, and you're someone I feel I can talk to about it. Think about the implications. By sharing these vulnerabilities, she's making herself emotionally available to you in a way that's usually reserved for very close friends or family, or frankly, her spouse. If you're not in that inner circle, yet she's offloading this kind of heavy emotional baggage, it's a significant step. She might be testing the waters, seeing how you respond. Do you offer sympathy? Do you reciprocate with your own confidences? Your reaction to these disclosures can either encourage or discourage further intimacy of this nature. This kind of sharing can also be a way for her to justify her interest in you, even to herself. If her marriage is portrayed as unhappy or unfulfilling, then seeking connection or attention elsewhere might feel less like a betrayal and more like a necessity for her own well-being. It's a narrative she might be constructing. My husband doesn't understand me but do. This creates a stark contrast and can be a very powerful psychological tool, whether she's consciously aware of it or not. It draws you in and makes you feel special, chosen. But you need to be very careful here. Getting drawn into the role of the understanding outsider can be a slippery slope. While it might feel flattering to be the person she confides in, you're also being put in a very precarious position, especially if her marriage is genuinely in trouble. Is she truly seeking a friend, or is she laying the groundwork for something more? If she's consistently painting a negative picture of her marriage and highlighting your positive qualities in contrast, that's a pretty strong signal that her interest in you is more than just platonic. It's a sign that she's emotionally distancing herself from her partner and potentially looking for an alternative connection. Now, let's tackle compliments. Everybody likes a compliment, right? It feels good to be noticed, to be appreciated. But when the compliments from a married woman become frequent, specific, and perhaps a little too personal, you need to pause and analyze what's really being said. I'm not talking about a simple, "hey, nice tie," or "good job on that presentation." I'm talking about compliments that go a bit deeper, that seem to focus on your character, your looks, or how you make feel, and they're happening all the time. Think about the nature of these compliments. Are they about your work performance, which is generally acceptable in most settings? Or are they more about you as a person, your appearance, your sense of humor, your intelligence in a way that feels more intimate? If she's constantly telling you how funny you are, how smart you are, how good you look today, or how much she enjoys your company, that's a pattern. And if these compliments are delivered with that prolonged eye contact or a light touch we talked about earlier, the message gets amplified. It's not just she's being nice, it could be she's noticing me in a particular way. Consider if these compliments are unique to you. Does she shower everyone with this level of praise, or are you the primary recipient of her admiration? If she's an equal opportunity complimenter, then maybe it's just her personality. But if her positive affirmations are disproportionately directed your way, it suggests she sees something special in you, or at least wants you to, she does. This can be a way of making you feel good about yourself in her presence, thereby making you feel good about. It's a classic attraction-building technique, whether conscious or not. Also, pay attention to how these compliments are delivered. Are they casual and off the cuff? Or are they delivered with a certain intensity, a sincerity that feels a bit more loaded? Sometimes it's not just the words themselves, but the tone, the look in her eyes, the slight pause before or after the compliment that gives it extra weight. If she says something like, "You always know how to make me laugh, especially when I'm having a bad day," that's more personal and revealing than a generic, "You're funny." She's linking your quality to her emotional state. Frequent and personal compliments can be a way of testing your reaction and subtly signaling her interest. She's putting out feelers, seeing if you reciprocate, if you seem pleased, if you perhaps offer compliments in return. It's a dance. While a single compliment is usually just a kind gesture, a consistent barrage of them, especially those that highlight your personal attributes or the effect you have on her, should be seen as a potential indicator that her feelings for you might be moving beyond the realm of simple friendship or professional courtesy. She might be trying to tell you, "I see you, I appreciate you, and I like what I see." Let's talk about who's starting the conversations. If you find that this married woman is frequently the one initiating contact, whether it's in person, through texts, emails, or social media, that's a significant piece of information. It's one thing if you bump into each other and chat, or if work requires you to communicate. But if she's consistently going out of her way to start conversations with you, especially about non-essential topics, you have to wonder about the motivation behind it. Why is she seeking you out so regularly? Consider the frequency and the context. Is she just saying good morning every day, or is she finding reasons to engage you in longer, more involved discussions? Does she text you just to see how you're doing, or to share something funny she saw that reminded her of you, even when there's no practical reason for the contact? If she's creating opportunities to interact, that shows a level of interest that goes beyond casual acquaintance. She's investing time and energy into connecting with you, and that investment often signals a desire for more than just a surface-level relationship. Think about the topics of these initiated conversations. Are they purely functional, or do they veer into more personal territory? If she's asking about your weekend, your hobbies, your opinions on things, it shows she wants to know more about you as a person. If she remembers small details you've mentioned in previous conversations and brings them up again, it indicates she's not just listening, but she's and values the interaction. This effort to build rapport and find common ground can be a clear sign of attraction. Also, observe if she tries to prolong these conversations. When you're talking, does she seem reluctant for the chat to end? Does she ask follow-up questions, introduce new topics, or find ways to keep the dialogue going? If she's the one consistently pushing the conversation forward or trying to extend your interactions, it suggests she enjoys your company and wants more of it. This isn't typically how people behave with someone they're indifferent to. It's a sign that your presence and your input are valued, perhaps more than platonically. The bottom line here is that consistently initiating contact takes effort. People generally don't make that effort unless there's a reason. If she's married and still making a concerted effort to frequently start conversations with you, especially if those conversations are personal or extend beyond necessity, it's a strong indicator that she's interested in you. She's actively seeking your attention and your time. It's not passive, it's a proactive behavior. And when a married woman is being that proactive in pursuing interaction with another man, it's something you absolutely need to acknowledge and think about carefully. Alright, let's discuss laughter, specifically her laughter at your jokes. Now, maybe you're a comedic genius, a regular stand-up act, and everyone hangs on your every witty word. If that's the case, good for you. But, if you're being honest with yourself, and you know that some of your jokes are, well, let's just say they wouldn't win any awards, yet this particular married woman laughs heartily at almost everything you say. Even the lame ones, the puns, the ones that make other people groan, that's a sign you shouldn't ignore. It's more than just appreciating good humor. When someone is attracted to you, or interested in you, they often find you more amusing than others might. It's a well-documented psychological phenomenon. Laughter can be a bonding agent, a way to build rapport and signal affiliation. If she's consistently laughing at your attempts at humor, it could be her way of showing approval, of saying, I like you, I enjoy being around you, you make me feel good. It's an encouragement, a positive reinforcement for your interactions. Pay attention to the quality of her laughter. Is it a polite little titter, or is it a genuine, full-bodied laugh? Does she make eye contact while she's laughing? Does she perhaps touch your arm, as we discussed earlier? These accompanying behaviors can amplify the signal. If her laughter seems a bit exaggerated for the joke, or if she's the only one or the loudest one laughing, it's particularly noteworthy. She might be trying to make you feel good, to show her appreciation for you in a way that's socially acceptable yet still conveys a deeper interest. Also, consider if she actively seeks out your humor. Does she seem to light up when you're about to tell a story or a joke? Does she encourage you to be funny? This anticipation and positive reception to your humor, regardless of its actual comedic value, can be a subtle indicator of her feelings. It's as if, in her eyes, you can do no wrong, at least in the comedy department. This isn't just about being easily amused, it's about being easily amused by. Now don't get a swelled head and think you're the next Dave Chappelle just because she laughs at your jokes. But do recognize that her consistent, enthusiastic laughter, especially at jokes that objectively might not be that great, is often a sign that she's got a favorable bias towards you. It's one of those softer signals, but when combined with other signs we're discussing, it contributes to a larger picture of potential romantic interest. She's not just laughing at your punchlines, she might be laughing because she enjoys, and the connection you share, even if it's just for a fleeting, humorous moment. Now we're getting into some more potent territory. Jealousy. If you notice that this married woman seems to get a little bit jealous, possessive, or even just subtly displeased when you talk to other women, or when another woman shows interest in you, that's a flashing red light, folks. Jealousy is a powerful emotion, and it often stems from a fear of losing someone or something you value, or someone you to have a certain kind of connection with. If she has no special interest in you, why would she care who you talk to? Observe her reactions closely. Does her demeanor change when you're interacting positively with another woman? Does she suddenly become quiet, aloof, or find a reason to interrupt your conversation? Maybe she makes a slightly cutting remark about the other woman later, or perhaps she tries to pull your attention back to her. These aren't the actions of someone who sees you purely as a friend or a colleague. These are more indicative of someone who feels a sense of claim or special connection to you, even if it's unstated and, given her marital status, inappropriate. This jealousy might not always be overt or dramatic, it can be subtle. A fleeting frown, a tightening of her lips, a shift in her posture, or a sudden coolness in her tone towards you after you've paid attention to someone else. She might ask you pointed questions later like, "So, you seem to be getting along really well with Sarah," with an inflection that suggests more than casual curiosity. These are probes, trying to gauge your interest in others and perhaps her own standing with you. Think about it. If she views your relationship as strictly platonic, your interactions with other women should be of no consequence to her beyond normal friendly interest. But if she's harboring romantic feelings, or is developing them, then seeing you engage with potential rivals can trigger that possessive, jealous response. It's a sign that she might see you as more than just a friend. She might, on some level, see you as a potential romantic interest, and therefore, other women become perceived competition. Be very cautious here. While her jealousy might feel like a validation of your attractiveness or her interest, it's also a sign of potential complications and emotional immaturity, especially given she's married. If she's exhibiting jealousy, it means she's already emotionally invested in a way that oversteps the normal boundaries of friendship with a married individual. This isn't just a casual sign. It's an indicator that her feelings are likely strong and potentially problematic. It's a clear signal that she might be viewing your connection in a light that is far from simple or appropriate. Let's examine another behavior. She consistently goes out of her way to help you or do things for you. Now, kindness and helpfulness are wonderful qualities, and good friends and colleagues often support each other. But there's a line. When a married woman is repeatedly investing significant time, effort, or resources to assist you, especially with things that are not her responsibility or that inconvenience her, you have to ask what's driving that level of dedication. Is it pure altruism, or is there an underlying motive related to her feelings for you? Consider the nature of her helpfulness. Is she offering to help you with work projects that are solely your burden? Does she volunteer to run errands for you, bring you coffee just the way you like it without being asked, or offer you rides even if it takes her out of her usual route? These aren't just small favors. These are acts of service that require a deliberate choice and often a sacrifice of her own time or energy. If these acts are frequent and seem to be directed primarily at you, it's a pattern worth noting. Think about whether she offers this same level of extraordinary help to others. Is she the office den mother who does these things for everyone, or are you the special recipient of her above and beyond efforts? If it's the latter, it suggests that her motivation might be more personal. She could be trying to make your life easier, to show you she cares, or to create a sense of indebtedness or a closer bond. These actions can be a non-verbal way of saying, "You're important to me, and I'm willing to invest in you." Also, pay attention to how she offers this help. Is it done discreetly, or does she make sure you know the effort she's put in? Does she seem to derive a lot of satisfaction from helping you? Sometimes people who are interested in someone will use helpfulness as a way to get closer, to become indispensable, or to simply have more interaction. It's a way to demonstrate value and care. If she's consistently looking for opportunities to ease your burdens or make your day better, it could be a strong indication of her affection. However, it's also important not to take advantage of this. If you suspect her motives are more than friendly and she's married, then accepting excessive favors can blur lines and create uncomfortable obligations. While it might seem flattering to be the focus of such dedicated assistance, recognize it as a potentially significant sign of her interest. It's one thing to be a supportive friend, it's another to consistently prioritize someone else's needs in a way that suggests a deeper emotional investment, especially when that someone isn't her spouse. Alright, let's talk about appearance. You might notice that this married woman seems to put more effort into how she looks when she knows she's going to see you. Now, this can be subtle, so you need to have a baseline. How does she normally dress? What's her typical style? If there's a noticeable shift, maybe she's wearing more flattering clothes, paying more attention to her hair and makeup, or perhaps wearing a particular perfume more often when you're around, it could be a sign she's trying to catch your eye. This isn't about her suddenly undergoing a complete makeover every day. It's often about the small changes, the extra touches. Perhaps she usually dresses very casually, but on days she anticipates interacting with you, she's a bit more put together. Or maybe she starts wearing outfits that she knows you've complimented in the past, or a style she thinks you might find attractive. It's a non-verbal signal that she's aware of your presence and possibly wants to be seen in a more appealing light by you. Consider if this change in effort is consistent when you're around, versus when you're not. If you happen to see her on a day she wasn't expecting to see you, does her appearance revert to her usual baseline? If so, that contrast can be quite telling. It suggests that the elevated effort is specifically linked to your anticipated presence. People often dress up for themselves to feel good, that's true, but when it seems strategically timed to coincide with your encounters, it warrants a second thought. This desire to look good for someone you're attracted to is a very natural human instinct. It's part of the courtship ritual, even if it's happening on a subconscious level for her, or if she'd never admit it. She might be seeking your attention, your approval, or simply wanting to feel more confident and attractive in your presence. It's a way of saying notice me without having to actually utter those words. It's an investment in her appearance that might be an investment in capturing your interest. Of course, you don't want to jump to conclusions based on a new hairstyle or a nice outfit alone. Many factors can influence how someone dresses. But if this is part of a larger pattern of behavior, combined with the prolonged eye contact, the physical touch, the frequent compliments, then it adds another layer to the picture. It suggests that she's not only emotionally engaging with you, but also trying to enhance her physical appeal in your eyes. It's another piece of the puzzle indicating that her interest might be more than just casual. Now we're moving into territory that's a lot less subtle open flirting. If a married woman is overtly flirting with you, well, the guessing game is pretty much over regarding her interest. Flirting can take many forms: playful teasing, suggestive comments, compliments that are clearly more than just friendly, innuendos, or body language that's unmistakably alluring. If her interactions with you are consistently laced with these elements, she's not just being nice, she's actively signaling romantic or sexual interest. Think about the nature of her comments and behaviors. Is she making jokes that have a double meaning, perhaps a slightly suggestive one? Does she tease you in a way that feels intimate or playful beyond typical friendship? Does she give you looks that are clearly designed to be enticing or to gauge your reaction to her advances? This isn't about misinterpreting friendliness. This is about recognizing a deliberate pattern of behavior designed to create a spark or test the boundaries of your current relationship. Open flirting from a married woman is a very direct signal. She's essentially putting her cards on the table, showing you that she's attracted to you and is willing to engage in a way that steps far outside the bounds of her marital commitment, at least conversationally. This can be risky behavior for her, so if she's doing it openly, it often means her interest is strong, and she might be hoping for or expecting a reciprocal response from you. It's an invitation to play along, to escalate the interaction. Consider the context. Is this flirting happening in private where there are fewer social consequences for her? Or is she bold enough to do it even when others might be around, though perhaps more subtly then? The level of openness can indicate her confidence in her interest or perhaps her disregard for the potential repercussions. If she's complimenting your physical appearance in a way that makes you blush, or if her accidental touches are now accompanied by a lingering gaze and a suggestive smile, that's pretty clear communication. When flirting is this direct, you have a responsibility to be very clear in your own response. Engaging in flirtatious banter with a married woman, even if it seems harmless, can quickly lead down a complicated and potentially destructive path. Her open flirting is a sign of her interest, yes, but it's also a test of your boundaries and your character. It's no longer about deciphering subtle cues, it's about responding to an overt advance, and you need to think very carefully about the implications of how you choose to react when the signals are this loud and clear. Finally, let's discuss what happens when she starts talking about her feelings and emotions with you, especially deep, vulnerable ones. This goes beyond just sharing details about her marriage. This is about her opening up her inner world to you, her fears, her dreams, her insecurities, her joys, in a way that signifies a profound level of trust and a desire for emotional connection. When a married woman chooses you as the confidant for her deepest emotional experiences, it's a very significant development. This kind of emotional intimacy is usually reserved for one's closest relationships, a spouse, a lifelong best friend, a family member. If she's consistently bringing her raw emotions to you, seeking your comfort, your advice, or just your listening ear for matters of the heart, she is essentially forging an emotional bond that is incredibly powerful. She's letting you see parts of her that she likely doesn't show to many people, and that act of vulnerability can create a very strong sense of closeness between two individuals. You need to ask yourself why she's choosing you for this role. Is it because she genuinely feels you're the only one who can understand? Or is she, perhaps unconsciously, trying to create a substitute for the emotional intimacy she may be lacking elsewhere, particularly in her marriage? When she shares her feelings of loneliness, or her aspirations that seem unfulfilled, or her frustrations with life, and looks to you for validation or solace, she's inviting you into a very private space. This creates a dynamic where you might feel uniquely connected to her. This level of emotional sharing can be incredibly alluring. It can make you feel special, needed, and deeply understood. However, it's also a huge red flag when it's coming from someone who is married. She is, in effect, developing an emotional affair if this kind of intimacy is being cultivated with you instead of her partner. It's a sign that her emotional investment is shifting, or has already shifted, away from her marriage and towards you. This isn't just friendship. It's a deeper enmeshment that can have serious consequences. Responding to this level of emotional vulnerability requires extreme care. While your instinct might be to comfort and support, you must be aware of the lines being crossed. If a married woman is regularly confiding her deepest emotions in you, it's a clear indication that she sees you as far more than just a casual acquaintance or colleague. It signifies a profound level of interest and a desire for a connection that, given her marital status, is venturing into very dangerous and inappropriate emotional waters. It's a call for you to be very aware of the situation and its potential ramifications. So, we've gone through 11 potential signs, and let me be clear, any one of these, in isolation, might not mean a whole lot. People can be friendly, tactile, or complimentary without having ulterior motives. But when you start seeing a pattern, a combination of these behaviors, consistently, then you've got to wake up and acknowledge that something more might be going on. The purpose of this discussion wasn't to make you paranoid or to encourage you to see signals where none exist. It's about being observant, being aware, and being honest with yourself. The critical thing now is what you do with this information. If you recognize these signs and you're uncomfortable, or if you realize that lines are being blurred or crossed, you have a responsibility to act in a way that is respectful, ethical, and frankly, self-protective. This might mean creating some distance, being clearer about your own boundaries, or avoiding situations that might encourage these ambiguous interactions. It's not about being unkind, but it is about being clear. Ignoring the situation, or worse, encouraging it when you know she's married, well, that's a recipe for disaster for everyone involved, for you, for her, and for her family. Ultimately, navigating these situations requires maturity and integrity. It's easy to get flattered by attention, but you have to look at the bigger picture and the potential consequences. Be smart, be respectful, and be honest. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insightful content. See you next time.